We will now call this regular meeting of Jackson County Board of Education to order. And we will take the first few moments of this meeting to reflect and to pray about the things that are going on in our area, our state, and our nation. Here in our county, and I said Wednesday that that we had our communities. I say communities because we had an individual who impacted several communities that passed away, and we've got an employee who was injured in an accident that claimed this individual, and so we have people around who are hurting and who are upset, and some of those being family and friends and former players, and just a lot of folks that are hurting over.
No arrangements have been made at this time.
Yeah, over T.J. Perry's passing. T.J. had helped coach basketball at Skyline and section, and Plainview, and lots. He's been everywhere. He's
currently it was at Sanford University.
Yeah, I think he was the director of player development at Sanford, and his mom Nancy was my custodian at Skyline, and she was such a good worker and a huge help to me whenever I went to Skyline as a principal. She really helped me out a lot. So we want to remember that family tonight as we take time at the beginning of this meeting. So if there's nothing else, if you'll bow with me for a moment, please. Thank you. All right, so we have had a chance to look over the agenda for this regular meeting. We've got some acknowledgments to make there. We've got our second budget hearing, and then pretty much an abbreviated business agenda. But if nobody has any changes, we will entertain a motion to approve this agenda.
I make a motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving this agenda as it is presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and this agenda is approved. Mr. Davidson, do you want to start with our Skills USA?
I do. I want to recognize Mr. Drew McNutt so he can recognize these students and instructors. And if you hadn't had an opportunity, we got a display outside. If you came in this door, make sure you go out this door. We've got a student display out here.
Yeah, it's always an honor to stand up here and celebrate our students. And obviously, this year was a record-breaking year with our Skills USA. If you're not familiar with Skills USA, it's our CTSO, it's our Career Tech Student Organization. So we go from a local competition to a district competition to a state competition, and then if you qualify at state, win state, then you qualify for the national competition. It's in Atlanta, has been for some time now in June. So we're very, very proud of our students, and I want to recognize also tonight our instructors that are here among them. But this morning we had our celebration, and Senator Livingston and Representative Kirkland were here and did two joint resolutions from the House and Senate. So we have those that will be displayed as well. So just a few facts here, and Mr. Kane is my Skills USA historian of all things career tech when it comes to skills. But just a few facts that basically he dug up. These are our 28th medalists in Skills USA national competition since its inception. Basically, we go back all the way to 2001, and so these are the 28th medalists that we have. These are also our 9th and 10th national champion medalists, gold medalists, that we have in history of Epcot and Kevin Dukes Career Innovation Academy. And also, too, for the first time, we have two sophomores, first-time national champions in the history of our school. So a lot of accomplishments, and all of that comes through hard work, and that's what we challenge the rest of our students this morning, is these students just didn't show up for 2.5 hours, 3 hours into their trade and get to where they are. They worked at home. They worked after hours with our instructors here. And they put in the time, the dedication that it takes to be at this level. And so some of them could not be here tonight. We have some that have graduated, but we certainly want to recognize them as well. But first, I will call up our chapter display team. If you guys will go ahead and come up. Josiah Kelsey, Skyline High School, Ryland Davidson, North Sand Mountain, and Lily McBride, North Sand Mountain. And that is the chapter display that you saw coming in out here that's all lit up. They spent, I think, I talked to Josiah earlier, and I think there were 300 plus hours that were spent on this project. And we're talking about not just one group or one program that did this. Every program we have touched this project. And so that was our chapter display for Jackson County Skills USA. They are bronze winners, and very, very proud of them. As you see, if you exit here, look to the left, and you'll see their project. The earth does turn. We don't have it turning right now, but it does turn. It's a really, really cool project that they spent a lot of time, a lot of effort on it. We did have a little mishap between state and nationals, but we certainly got that taken care of before it was on the rocket, by the way. But we got that taken care of with the help of Ms. Halls and others that did that. But the main three instructors that were here that did assist in this project, and actually y'all just come on down because I'm going to have you down here anyway. So Mr. Jordan Kane, who's our machine instructor, Ms. Shana Halls, who was at the time one of our healthcare instructors, and then Ms. Mandy Atkins, also the healthcare instructor. So they challenged a lot of them with, hey, what do we need to do? How do we need to do it? Kids came up with the idea. Here's how we're going to put it together. And they spent a lot of time out of their day after hours as well to help our students. The second team are silver medal winners, which is Daniel Olinger of Skyline High School, Madison Short, Skyline High School, and Landon Murphy of Scottsboro. They're all in college now and also working jobs, so they had prior obligations that could not be here. Remember, this was the automated manufacturing team that were the national champions last year. I still believe that they should have been the national champions this year. A team from Massachusetts, wasn't it, Mr. Kane? And we still haven't figured out the scoring, so we're just going to claim that. The next is one of our two, and you got to hear her prepared speech one time here in this room, is Hasa Haslett. So Hasa is the gold medalist in prepared speech, and she's one of two sophomores in the history of our school that has ever won a gold medal as a sophomore. So they're very, very proud of her as well. The second of that is Mr. Wyatt Cook. Mr. Wyatt Cook from Skyline High School, CNC programming, won gold. So these two on the end there have 2 more years that they can compete, and we're looking for obviously great things that are coming out of that. And honestly, if I asked Hasa to give the speech again right now, she probably could right here in the spot, even though she hasn't done it in quite some time, but just very, very impactful. And then Gracie Wade, North Sand Mountain High School. Gracie is finished 4th in the 3-axis mill. All those are in the CNC realm of machining. And then Isaac Avens was also a top 10 finisher from Skyline High School as well. So these are our medalists that have done a phenomenal job. Some of them are still here, some of them graduated, but we feel like that Skills has prepared them for the future in any endeavor that they have being part of the CTSO. So please give them a round of applause. So if we could, can you do a picture now?
Yeah,
That'd be
great.
Okay. And also, too, the instructors that were not here that had a hand in this as well deserve a lot of praise for that because they do spend an ample amount of time with these students. So very, very proud of them and looking forward to great things as well coming forward. So, anybody have any questions, competitions?
We appreciate it.
Yeah, pressure's on
Right.
some. No pressure. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, sir. All right, so we will get right into our second budget hearing, and Mr. Middleton and Buffy did such an outstanding job Wednesday. This is the sequel, and this is our second required budget hearing before we vote and approve and submit that. So we're gonna kick it right off and let you have it, Jeff.
See y'all. See y'all.
Yeah, this is second required hearing. I've not received any kind of responses from the first hearing. If there are any, quickly bring them down before we pass this, but, so not any. Okay, so, and also there are copies of the budget if anybody would like, copies of the budget. So we have a really nice, reformatted PowerPoint this year. Ms. Buffy Blackwood prepared this. It's a lot better than a black and white, just a bunch of numbers. So this is the reason we have these meetings, that it's actually by law that you have to hold 2 budget hearings. Gives an opportunity for you to, for us to be transparent to you, and also a chance for you to have input or to ask questions. And if anybody has any questions at any point, feel free to ask. And these are some of the communications we're trying to do. Revenue sources and expenditures, the enrollment information, staff that we have, the operating costs, and the different aspects of the examination program. So this is one of the key points of how we're funding. We're funding primarily by state funds. And it's based on the APM, which is average daily membership. And these numbers go up and increase, so we can show some change between 25 and 24. You'll see that we have different schools that went up or down in their enrollment, and the state takes that into account when they decide how many teachers are going to fund us in the foundation program, which is the great majority of teachers that we have are funded through that. These are the certified units that we earned at each of the schools. And this is breakdown of the different type of positions that are funded. The biggest expenditure that we have is salaries and benefits. And the salary and benefits goes up every year. And it's probably the most important thing to properly engineer school so that the needs are met. The proper amount of teachers are there, the proper amount of administrators are there, the proper amount of support persons. And the superintendent, and all administrators and the board, all of them are following that. Because if you have too many locally funded units, you really can get in a very tough situation. have to pay is the health insurance, and that keeps, but that has been pretty stable. People have been able to, I don't think we've had an increase in the amount that employees have to pay for their insurance in several years. And so we're real thankful for that. So gives you an idea about our revenues. And you see the blue is the state funding, which is the great majority of our funding. Federal funding would be red, and then local funding is in green. And that's primarily the main source of local funding is our sales tax. And it's been holding up very well lately. This shows the actual numbers of the revenues that we have. And it's funny how it's like, the state and federal people that send our funds, they really know what's going on, because we've had a tremendous amount of federal funding since the pandemic in 2020. We've had just tremendous federal funding, and that is about to go away, or we scale back to normal amount of federal funding that we have. And so you'll see this big drop of $8 million in federal funding, but the state has federal funding left over that they are going to have to distribute this next year. So they're distributing out an additional amount to us. So if you notice the total amount of federal, total funding, it's almost the same number. So we're going to be funded the same amount for 25 as we are for 24. So that gives us 1 year to totally adjust to not having this federal funding. And it was quite a blessing. One thing about property taxes here that a lot of people don't know is that we don't really get any property taxes from any of your homes or land that's come here. So we have a very low property tax. And anytime there's an increase in property tax, we basically, the state makes note of that, and they send us that much less. So if we get $1 million increase in property taxes, the next year the state will send us $1 million less. So we don't get any real benefit for property taxes, but it's required that the minimum amount that is required to participate in the foundation program, our county does collect. But we basically send it down to Montgomery is what we do. These are all of our various state programs. And you'll see, well, let me see. I think I'm going to let this Wacky go with that with me. But even though it's, and I'll take it down to one final slide. I'm going to let Ms. Wacky go over the details. But you'll see that we're projecting to be at overall funding almost $33 million. So we're very, we're really in good financial shape. Like I was mentioning with the bond payment, we could actually come completely out of debt tonight shape financially. But, the first superintendent I ever worked with, he said, the main thing to keep in mind is we're not a bank. It's not about trying to get big numbers. It's all about, like these students here that won these contests. That is what the mission is all about. And I'm so pleased, you know, and that's really going to serve you well, you know, as you go out throughout your life. And we want to provide as many of those opportunities as possible. But and we're not sitting on a bunch of money for any other purpose. And we haven't really been, because we're so, you know, blessed with the resources we've been given, we haven't had the skin. We've been able to, you know, get this facility, get we've got a tremendous staff. And I just really want y'all to understand how good the staff is. These people, they are really, really, the administrators here, there are a lot of young administrators, but they're very skilled and they really care about what they're doing. And they're going to be really great. And they are great now. And the superintendent, the same way, has really been a real blessing to us, you know, since we lost Kevin. And we're just really blessed here. So let's, you know, and then the board also, they've been very together. When I got here in 2016, the board did not, the board had, you know, a lot of board disagreements. This board is together, and they're making progress because they're all together, and they're working with the superintendent. There's no them against us or whatever. So it's really been a blessing to work with. So another blessing we got is Blackwood. She's really learned a lot of things. You know, she's helped us navigate through this, and we've not gotten in trouble yet. It's about the end, so I don't think we're going to get in trouble. So she's taking more and more responsibilities. I want to
I'm going to go back to all the exciting stuff that y'all came for. I do want to go back and mention on the foundation program that we are required to show you how that is allocated by school, and that is in your budget packet beginning on page 73. Figure you did not want us to go through 20 pages of that, but that information is in the packet. Okay, so this chart is also in your packet on page 15, and it shows all of our state funding sources. The top is what we talked about, which is the largest portion, which is the foundation program. You will see that there has been a slight increase in that funding this year, and that is primarily due to the 2% mandated pay raise, as well as the increase in the retirement match for the foundation units, and we received an additional unit this year over last year. I also wanted to bring your attention to the school nurse program. That's a 36.7% increase. This is because last year they passed a new state mandated salary matrix for nurses, but they did not fully fund that. And so this is just catching up on that matrix. And if you'll look at a little further down where it says high school grad exam and then advanced medical technology, it does not have an amount for the previous year. We did receive that last year. It was just a timing issue. The funds came in at the end of FY23. Our accounting system calls that the high school graduation exam, but it is a High Hopes grant that Mr. Roden applies for each year. And then on advancement and technology, we also receive that yearly, but thanks to Senator Livingston this year, we received an additional $1 million in that fund. So overall, there's an 18.5% increase in state revenues, and if you watch the news or read the news at all, you will know that the state continues to have a surplus in the Educational Trust Fund that is passed on to the school system, all the systems, with allocations and the opportunity to apply for state grants. Okay, our next funding source is federal money, and we have projected that federal funds will be 9.8% of our budget this year. And as Mr. Middleton mentioned, we did lose ESSER funding and we lost Title V. Thankfully, the positions that we had in that funding, we have been able to retain, and we're paying for those personnel out of other fund sources. So now in federal money, we're back to business as usual. And so our highest revenue sources in federal is the Child Nutrition Program, Title I, and IDEA Special Ed. Something to keep in mind about federal revenues, those funds must be for supplemental programs. They must be expended for specific priorities. Our hands are very tight on how we can spend that money, and they're annual in nature. A few of the federal funds do allow us to carry over unexpended funds, but it's a small amount, and then those have to be spent by the end of that carryover year. And then local, which is 26.64% of our revenues. This year we're projecting that to be $21,041,000. We do conservatively estimate that projection, and we base that on trends in prior years, knowledge of economic factors, valuation of property, and sales trends in the region. And this is a breakdown. This is also on page 14 in your budget packet, but this is a breakdown of all of our local revenue sources. And you can see that at the bottom, it's just a very conservative 5% increase. If you look, and one thing stands out to you is the interest category is up 106%. That is the interest that we're earning on our investments. And then our last revenue source is other. Our smallest is $850,000. That comes from Medicaid reimbursement, which Ms. Sheila Fairbanks does, E-rate funding, which Derek and his team take care of, and then extracurricular trip mileage comes from schools, the transfers in. That's money from the schools where they're reimbursing us for sub-pay or bus drivers, things like that. And then other miscellaneous revenues would be things like the grant that actually apply for, just grants that are not state or federal funding sources. So now we'll take a look at our total expected expenditures, which is $77 million. We'll look at that a little bit closer on the next slide, but you can see that in the blue and the red, the largest part of our expenditures is on instructional services and instructional support. And the next two categories would be operation and maintenance and auxiliary services. So this chart is on page 17 of your packet. And you can also see a description of each of those categories beginning on page 8 of your packet. But this is a really broad view of our anticipated expenditures. And you'll see the largest changes in capital outlay, and that is primarily due to the fact that we finished this building. And as Craig mentioned earlier, we've had a huge influx of federal funds through ESSER, where we completed a lot of capital projects, and we won't have that this year, so that's why there's a decrease there. Now, there is an increase of 46% in operation and maintenance, and that is primarily to be expected due to the age of our buildings. And as I mentioned earlier, the additional funds in advancement and technology, we're really going to continue our push to just upgrading our facilities as we can. And then the decrease in auxiliary services, which is a decrease of $1.8 million. That is because last year we received a grant to replace all of our 2014 buses, and we did not receive that this year. And this is a more bird's eye view. We call this object code. All of the people that work here are always calling us for a code, and the object code is just a more narrow view of expenditures. And you can see, again, that salaries and benefits make up the largest portion of our expenditures. And then you would see the capital outlay, again, is the largest decrease. And you can see a breakdown of expenditures by cost center, which would be every school, and then the cost centers here at the district level, beginning on page 25 in your packet. Jeff showed you this summary. It's on page 18. And if you look at the far right column, you can see that we're projecting to begin fiscal year 25 with $31.2 million. We're expecting $78.9 million in, revenue, $78.9 million, and my glasses, and expenditures of $77.3 million. And that's going to leave us with excess revenues of $1.6 million, with an ending fund balance of $32.8 million, which continues Mr. Middleton's trend of steady growth of our fund balance for FY25. So in summary, you as a school board continue to make prudent financial decisions, supporting programs that are critical to the success of our staff and our teachers and our students. Our administrative team that meets weekly, they meet more than weekly, but we have a formal meeting every Monday. They do an excellent job of managing personnel, making sure we have adequate student-teacher ratios. And as a finance team, we will continue to monitor the Education Trust Fund and our local economy and be prepared for the outcomes of any changes there. And then finally, as Mr. Middleton mentioned earlier, if you have a comment to make on the budget, there is a page on the back of your packet. If you would submit that to the Office of the Superintendent and make sure you provide all of your personal information and sign the form. And before we open it for questions, I just wanted to acknowledge that Jeff and I have a team of 4 other ladies that we work with that work really hard. We don't work with students every day, but the work that we do affects the students. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work that they do. And that's Melissa Chapman, who handles payroll, Penny Pritchett, who helps with payroll, and she also works with our local bookkeepers. And then Kim Phillips does our fixed assets. She helps with accounts payable. She works with all the teachers with their classroom instructional support money. And then Ms. Linda Holcomb, who we mentioned earlier, she has been here longer than all of us combined, with about 53 years of service to Jackson County Schools, and she handles accounts payable. And we also work with Ms. Jonita and Sheila and Tammy in special ed, and who am I forgetting? Joanne Boozer in Child Nutrition Program. They help us always make sure the federal money is flowing in, so we appreciate their hard work. We will open the floor for questions.
I want to start just by asking a question. What is the required number of months reserve, and how many months reserve do we have in our budget?
Since you asked that question last time, it's 3.17 months that we are projecting to have, and which is approximately where we're at today. So
What is the minimum that we're required to?
we're required to have 1 month.
One,
And when we came here, we had about 0.8 months. And we had to go down to Montgomery and get chastised. So we haven't been back since.
any other questions?
The ESSER money, I know that it's in it. Have we utilized all of our ESSER money as much as we can?
And we'll spend anybody else's that didn't.
Well, the reason I asked, I was just reading that some of the
Right.
schools in South Alabama was having, they had spent theirs, and I was almost positive that we had, because y'all done an excellent job with the ESSER money.
We're fortunate to have both this pair. a lot of systems don't have one, and they're having a hard time spending the money.
Oh, they've done an excellent job. I was on the
Well, there are a lot of restrictions on they divided kind of the total pot up. And so there's 20% of the money that did have a lot of restrictions that does make it really hard when the state is also pumping in money, but we did spend all of our extra free money. Yes, ma'am.
And we really, I think, administration, superintendent, board did a great job on using the money for things that are not just gone. That we did a lot of heavy maintenance, a lot of HVAC, a lot of roof replacement, part of this building related to HVAC. So we've got a tremendous amount of benefit that we should have continue to get benefits 10, 15, 20 years
Yeah.
from now.
I was just shocked when I read that how much a lot of people in the South we're not going to be able to use in our school. That's not, I'm glad we reached out.
It does sound shocking, but I would also say that those districts, sometimes it is hard when you have certain restrictions.
Well, thank you for that.
Jesse, do you have a question?
I did. I was going to ask about the PIP. We talked about health insurance funding earlier. I know the state for the last several years has appropriated $800 a month per employee. Does the county board of education also have to appropriate $800 per month per employee?
Every employee, yes, sir, is $800 a month for every employee, and the state only covers 300. And the number of units you saw that the state provides, that's all they match for us,
For the
are those
state?
330-something units.
For the state funding?
Yeah,
Yes.
and we would have something like, almost 2,800 total employees.
But we have 700-ish employees.
And
So
so
the
for the
difference
local,
is paid out of local or federal, we have some that are in federal, some that are in local.
okay. And a consideration maybe for next year's budget would be, and Mr. Davidson, I'm sure can speak to this too because he's on the board, but the PIP board voted to increase the request of the legislature this year, which I'm assuming would then trickle down to the local boards to contribute more as well, if that were to come to pass.
But, it should be that basically what they contribute is what we send, and so we appreciate the PIP board retirement system for taking on that additional expense on passing it over to the employees.
Our contribution has not changed since 2017, so.
Any other question? Thank you very much, both of you. I had a joke for Jeff. He embedded Malzahn the other day, Coach Malzahn. I was going to tell him that was not boring at all.
All right. We're going to get right on into the general business. Under general business A, consider a motion to approve the budget for the fiscal year 25 year. That's just what Jeff had just presented to us.
Make a motion. Second.
A motion, a second to approve. Any discussion? All in favor of approving this budget, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. B, consider a motion to approve the salary schedules for the 24-25 school year.
I make a motion.
Motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving those salary schedules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. C, consider a motion to approve the contract between Jackson County Board of Education and Kylie Beatty for homebound services for Jackson County students.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving that contract, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. D, consider a motion to approve the 5-year capital plan.
Make a
Have a
motion.
motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving that capital plan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. E, consider a motion to approve the contract between Jackson County Board of Education and Chastity Hancock, a licensed clinical audiologist, for services for the 24-25 school year.
I'll make a
Have
motion.
a motion?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor of approving that contract, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. F, consider a motion to approve the contract between Jackson County Board of Education and Ramona Evans, a certified orientation and mobility specialist, for services for the 24-25 school year. Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor of approving that contract, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. G, consider a motion to approve the installation of the robot lab here at the KDCIA in the amount of $145,533.59.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a
Second.
second, sounds like. Any discussion? Thank you, Ashley, for taking care of that for us. All in favor of approving this purchase, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we have those board policy changes that come to us from the AASB policy pipeline, and those will lay on the table
So October,
till our next meeting.
October 23rd.
Yeah. Yeah, so, those will be at our next meeting in October. Personnel, we have, 2 leaves, and it's okay, we'll take those together. Consider a motion to approve the leaves in A and B, the designated time, designated location.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Did you get that, Jenna? All right. Any discussion? All in favor of approving those leaves, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 1 resignation. A, consider a motion to accept the resignation of Paige Freeman, a part-time teacher, not to exceed 28%, initially located at Stevenson Middle School, effective September the 10th, 2024.
I'll make a
Have a
motion.
motion? Vote second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving that resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 1 transfer. A, consider a motion to transfer Kendall Crabtree from a countywide 9-month speech therapist to a 10-month special education program specialist effective September the 12th, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Quick question for Cody. How difficult is it finding a speech therapist now? Pretty tough. I knew the industry was paying pretty good.
Current position we have open is 1 person that's certified.
That's about, okay. I was curious on that. All right, we had a motion and a second. All in favor of approving this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under employment, we have a few of those, and we will take on A through D unless there's an objection. All right, so we're going to consider a motion to employ the individuals in A through D at their designated location and designated time.
I'll make a
A
motion.
motion to approve,
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving those individuals in A through D, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We also have some team contracts. We have 10 individuals for math, and I think there's about 8 for science. So we will take A first. Motion to approve the following teams contracts. Those are individuals in 1 through 10 at those specified schools.
I'll make a motion.
A motion to approve the math teams contracts.
Second.
A second. Any discussion?
I will say I recognize Ashley Lee for her hard work. She's a team contract specialist.
She's a teams player.
She's a teams player.
Some of those are new contracts and some of those are renewals.
Okay.
Some of those have purchased them.
All right, perfect, thank you. All right, we have a motion second. All in favor of approving those math teams contracts, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And under the science, again, we have those 8, so we have a motion to approve the following teams contracts, individuals in 1 through 8. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor of approving those teams contracts, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under our announcements, like we said during our work session, our next scheduled board meeting and work session will be on October 23rd. Work session will be at 5 o'clock, and the board meeting will immediately follow that. And
So some recognitions for the board members. In recognition of successfully completing all the school board governance improvement act training for the school year 23-24, Dr. Angela Guest. Chris Knight. Chad Gorham. Mike Matthews. And in addition to that, Mr. Robbie King will also receive level 2 and 3 training certification. I just have a few more now. Couple announcements. If you don't have someone to go watch, there's probably something going on almost every night of the week with volleyball, football, and cross country in full force. We're probably week 4 of football season. We've had some pretty big wins. If you've been following some of our teams, we've had some good games. E-Learning Day is scheduled. It's on the calendar, but E-Learning Day is Monday, September the 23rd. That's coming up in a few weeks. We'll be doing some professional development data meetings at our school. Those are needed days for our teachers to be able to look at the data. We're approaching progress report time. It seems like we just started school, but we're really actually to a point in the school year that we've got progress reports starting to come out, so looking at data. Ninth grade will participate, ninth grade only this year. We're back on regular schedule. Ninth graders will come here for the CEO Expo on Thursday, October the 10th. Fall break is October the 14th through the 18th. And Dr. Guest, we have scheduled the tour. I know you worked with Miss Haley, but all Jackson County retired teachers are going to be welcome to come here for a tour on Thursday, October the 24th at 9:30 in the morning. And the last thing I will say is we are watching the weather. If you're not aware, there is a hurricane coming from the south, so the weather is going to be changing over the next few hours, possibly rain coming in. We're looking at the weather situation. We've actually saw that Channel 19 has actually went out there and posted some stuff, but we are in school tomorrow. We won't have after school activities tomorrow because of the weather's coming in the afternoons tomorrow through the night, and then we'll be looking tomorrow at the weather forecast for Friday morning to make any kind of adjustments that we need to make. And the last thing I will tell you is there was a terrible thing that happened in our nation. School shootings have become too common, but it was pretty close to home in Georgia over the last few weeks. And I will tell you that social media is not our ally in anything like that. Social media takes rumors and they spread like wildfire. You can take very few facts and turn it into a very serious allegation or accusation when it comes to social media. So I just warn everybody to make sure that when you see something on social media, say something, report it to the school authorities and to the law enforcement. But we are vetting everything, and we are looking at details, and we have to have factual evidence. And we have worked very hard today, and we continue to work every day to make sure our kids are safe. It's got to be a safe place for our kids and our faculty. And we want parents to know that we're aware of things, but always we're not telling you everything that we know, because we're looking at things to really sort it out to see how much factual evidence is there. And when it's factual, we work very closely with our sheriff's department, our SROs, to make sure that we are in schools and taking care of any kind of situation. But social media right now is rampant with some things that it's just, there's no telling how many counties in the United States that have Jackson County in them. So there's Jackson counties, and then you look at Jackson as a city, and so it just becomes a problem that we're just chasing rabbits a lot. And it's unfortunate because social media is not an ally of school safety. It could be causing more problems than good, and that's all I'll say about that.
So we're having our retired teachers tour. Is Culinary gonna be providing a little snacky?
Dr. Gesser, did y'all plan that? Yes.
So, board members, if you're free today, I have been on the receiving end of that culinary program, and it was quite good. They had what they served for us.
Danish?
No, it was
Sausage roll?
I don't know. It was good. You can tell by looking at me that
What's your request?
I'm flexible. I'm flexible.
Jeff, you need everyone's signatures or just Mr. Gorm's?
Just y'all.
Okay.
When it comes to the culinary stuff, I'm a teams player, actually. So, anyway. All right, so we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion. Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor of adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
We're now adjourned. Thank you for coming.